Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's Creative Redundancy, the one known as CR, and I'm back in the heat again. Out of the sun, but still in the heat. I mean, it's only, what, 84, 85 Fahrenheit, 28, 29 Celsius. I'll do it again. And kind of go along the same lines, the same heat waves as my previous live stream, which was like literally yesterday. At this time, like literally. It's Sassy. What's up, idea? Thanks, Sassy. I didn't even have to send any voice notes or memos to anyone. I was debating on doing this again. I'm like, why not? Why not? Let's see here. I'll show you guys out here. Jeez, I just saw like a dozen little birds just fly by. Let's see here. I don't even know which way my camera's facing. See? Nothing but blue sky. Look at this. Nothing but blue sky. Sunshine. Nothing but blue sky. It is clear outside. Look at it. I could do a 360. You wouldn't even see any cloud at all. Okay, I better not point at the sun too long. Let's not point at the sun too long. And yes, it is sunny. So yeah, let's not point at the sun too long. Yeah, it's nice and sunny. What's up, Lee? Hi. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Ooh, nice. I mean, it's not as warm as other places in the world, but you guys also don't get some of the 4-letter chili words. And I'm not talking about the food, I'm talking about chili. As in, yeah. So hopefully everyone's doing well. Got some water next to me here. Of course. So how's it out over there for everyone? What's the temperature like for you folks out there right now? Came prepared for this stream. Just like how I said on the previous live stream, which was like yesterday, Wednesday, because it's Thursday right now. Shout out to the replay gang once again. I did one of my things that I can do at times. I don't know, tricks, tips. I'll probably drop a few every so often, you know. I'm wearing a hat right now. I just wet my hat before I came out here. I was outside earlier. I just went back inside to go eat for a little bit of time, right? Nothing too heavy. I didn't want to eat anything too heavy and start sweating from it. Just something similar to like salad, something I can eat cold. I was just like, yeah, I'll get the food energy, but it won't like dramatically warm me up and cause me to instantly sweat. Alright, storming there for you, Sass? Ah, I see. Well, at least it's cool there for you. I'm pretty sure there's like a 0% chance of showers today. I'm pretty sure. I wouldn't even give it a 1% or like 0.1%. It's like 0% chance. Actually, I think there's a high pressure system over the province right now, or like, wow, affecting most of Western Canada right now. So, yeah. So, yes, I'm in the heat once again. There's a very small hint of a breeze outside. I mean, every so often it'll gust a little, but I mean, it's almost on par or less than the previous live stream that I did. I think it was more breezy previous time I did this, which also makes it more difficult too. You know, you can stay in the shade and stuff like that, but a nice breeze always helps. Besides, evaporative cooling works better when there's a breeze. I mean, I could see the The trees moving, so oh, there's nice breeze. Yeah, that's it. That hits the spot. It's almost like coffee, but cool, and yeah. You guys are both getting rain. Hi, Vanessa. How are you doing, Vanessa? Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate it. Yeah. I'm actually wearing slightly less than the last time. Slightly less. I took off one garment of clothing. I have, like I said, yesterday was actually the start of it. So, this is day 2 for me, for it. Like I said on the previous live stream, this is where Environment Canada issues it as, well, it's a heat advisory. A little bit more. I'm pretty sure, no, I figured they did say it as a warning. It's not an advisory, but there's other things, you know, to consider while you're out here. Like, I was talking to someone yesterday, and they're like, they said something about not feeling well, or kind of like a headache or something like that. I was like, oh wow, it's probably the heat, right? You know, he does that to people. He can do that to people, especially if you've been outside for long periods of time without sufficient ways of cooling back down. Drinking water, among some other things, right? You know, even cooling down your neck or forehead with some water, right? Cooling towel, cotton shirt, cotton bandana, all that stuff. I mean, I could dip into that personally if I wanted to. I mean, at times I have done that stuff just because I'm outside doing stuff and I'm exerting effort, right? And when you're exerting effort, you have the tendency to like sweat and like generate lots of metabolic heat, you know? So, well, welcome back, Vanessa. Yeah, so, I mean, I made sure I brought out a few little things to help me out, among some other things. Power bank. So my keys are in my pocket. Battery bank. There's a breeze out there. I was debating on bringing out a USB fan, but I don't think I'll need to. Although I've been looking into a few other things. I know one of my friends has one of those, they go around on the backside of your neck, right? They kind of look like headphones, but they're basically like a fan. I mean, I didn't try it. My friend has one, or whatever, right? But I tried it out briefly, but I mean, like, it's not like I tried it in the heat, right? I tried it in the sun when I'm actually sweating buckets, as they say, right? I haven't tried anything like that. I mean, I've used our fans before, but if you're sweating, then it's one thing. If the humidity's not that high, it's one thing. But if you're not sweating, you don't got any water in you to sweat, and the humidity's high, yeah, it's less effective. You know? So, yeah. Just having a sip of water. Keep hydrating up. Might have to get a little bit more, depending on how I feel. And like I said, it's nice and sunny outside. I'm sitting in the shade right now, once again. I'll do, since I'm out here again, one thing I'll do here is, see, I'm actually wearing shoes with socks, but I'm just gonna take off my socks and put my bare foot on the ground. This spot right here where I'm sitting, it's shaded, generally. Like, especially right now, it's mid-afternoon in North America, so, like, this is, we're coming into the, like, quote-unquote hottest part of the day, so this is in the shade, and it's been in the shade for the last several hours, so it's cooled down quite a bit, in comparison to, like, a couple feet away that's in the sun. So, this feels nice on the feet. Hopefully it'll help me cool me off. I'd show you guys, but I don't know. Everyone's seen feet. Everyone knows what feet looks like. See, ground right here. See, this kind of ground. See, this kind of. Where was it? Where's my finger? This kind of ground. Yes, touch grass with bare feet. Well, the grass is just slightly over. Actually, why not? Yeah, in the shade it feels nice. But also, if I step in the grass area, like that's in the sun, yeah, you don't feel that warmth conduct right through into your foot. I mean, technically, I am still wearing pants, but they're very loose fitting. They got plenty of, let's say, gaps in it to like for airflow. Yeah, it's a little less breezy out today. I mean, there is sometimes. I think it's because the last time I did this, which was like literally yesterday, there's more clouds, so I think that's why. I think today is definitely gonna feel and is hotter than the previous day. Less clouds, less wind, more sunshine, and less shade. I mean, like cloudy periods. Like even yesterday, I had brief amounts of cloudy periods, which kind of, give you a second wind. I keep talking about this all the time. The second, third wind. Oh, hey, speaking of wind, I got some breeze coming through. Yes. I feel like, second wind, all right? Like I said on the previous live stream, like when you're tired, exhausted, including in the heat and all that stuff, you've been working hard or whatever, or you've just been in the heat for a little bit, you start to get the fatigue. Feel like you don't want to do anything, right? You're sweating and you're not doing anything, right? But when you start getting headaches or whatever, and you have that refreshing drink of water, maybe something that has electrolytes in it, and you just bounce back. I've experienced that before. I'm like, oh, I know that feeling. Not quite there yet. Not quite at the second one yet. It's so early. It's up o'clock. I see you in there. What's the temperature down there for you? And the reason I'm doing this is because, well, there's multiple reasons, but, I've shown, being out in the cold, also I figured I do this in the heat, or at least relatively speaking, alright? Like, wherever you guys are in the world or whatever, right? I know some of you are in the US or whatever, right? Whenever your area issues a heat warning, remember that. Whatever that temperature threshold is, right? Whatever it is. I know what it is around here. And for most parts of Canada, it's in that 86 Fahrenheit range. 85 Fahrenheit range or higher. And they'll usually issue it if the temperature rises that high. Not just the feel like or humidity type of thing, but the actual temperature, and where there's not just a day of it. Right? It's here for one day, then the temperature will drop back to 75, right? No. Where it's like forecast to be days of it, right? It's something to consider. It's nice when you get that kind of lead time for it, right? You could prepare in advance, right? Maybe make some more ice. Make sure you got some water squared away. Maybe rotate in some water. That you're like, I gotta consume it. I'm supposed to be consuming this by the end of the year. Now seems like a good time, that kind of thing, right? Nice breeze. 110 Fahrenheit. Isn't that 40, 44 Celsius? Give or take? It's okay, Lee. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. Hell, God, I'm putting them. I'm gonna leave that on the screen for a moment. I can't see the chat since I have that overlaid, but you know, like I guess would help if yeah, it's different, something you're not accustomed to, generally speaking, right? Overall, right? Or where it happens, let's say, maybe a couple weeks in the year, in the calendar year, right? That kind of thing, right? We're not as climatized to it as our people that are, you know, see it more on a regular basis, right? You know what I mean? Like, even when I've gone on vacation into like other places in the world at times where it's harder or more human, right? It takes me a day to adjust to it, right? It's just like jet lag. I get adjust to it in time, you know. I still want to do stuff. I still want to, you know, if I'm on vacation or somewhere else that's hotter, I still want to do stuff, right? Rain or shine or whatever, right? I'll just adjust and adapt to it, you know. And hopefully, like, you know, have some knowledge, some tricks, and well, of course, some gear, some resources like water to help me out, you know. Maybe I'm freezing the water, you know. Let's just say, I mean, I've been in places like the GTA, where it was like 98. It felt like 72, 73 Fahrenheit by like 9 o'clock in the morning. Or it's, you know, 90 before noon already. Or relatively speaking, right? Now I'm just like 32 Celsius. I'm just like, that was a long time ago for me, but I wasn't used to that. Because I was just like, you know, wow, I just wasn't used to it. Sure, I didn't miss anything. Yeah, see? I was about right, 40-30. Oh, yeah. That's a good point, too. Your infrastructure is probably not as used to it, generally speaking. It might be hardened for one thing, but not the other thing, right? For heat, but not for cold, right? For cold, but not for heat. Yeah. Because it's not the norm. It's just like us with insulation and dicing roads. And the dicey roads. That stuff isn't even hardly available here. Yeah. Hey, Clark, if you ever say that to your people down there, they'll be like, "You talking about a chainsaw?" They'd be thinking you're talking about a chainsaw. Yes, a chainsaw? No, a snow chains. It's like, what's that? Or you could relate it into like a chainsaw. Be like, you know, it's got these things on chainsaw to grip, and you know, that's what these snow chains are for. But for snow. You know, the white stuff, the frozen white stuff. You know, just pretend you're using it on ice cream, and the whole place is covered with ice cream, or something like that. Something like, I mean, something relatable, right? Ah, there we go. There's Bob. Well, Bob, see, I knew there was a reason why I decided to do this stream. Give a chance for Bob to jump in here. Since Bob missed my stream yesterday at this time. You know? Just keeping a cool head, like I said, Bob. I'm trying to, anyways. You know, I'm not rationing the water, but I am not just guzzling it. I'm just kind of sipping it, sitting in the shade, or you know. I mean, yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, that's good to hear. Claw. You guys look like the heat. Well, there's always gonna be like those trade-offs with the heat or the cold. Things you can do, things you can improvise, but things that are gonna be very serious, right? Obviously, the heat's gonna be the heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and all that stuff. Hyperthermia, in comparison to the cold, where you're gonna be like, you know, it's cold outside. Hypothermia, right? Below body temperature, right? So, and the trade-offs have, you know, usually the heat means that water's used more frequently. You know, things like fans are useful. You know, during the cold, it's something like, you know, blankets, heat, for the majority of things. And I guess, you know, also keeping things cool in the heat too, right? So, if your fridge goes down or whatever, right? Yeah, you're probably not gonna get that much time, even if it's full, just because the ambient heat is so high. I mean, I could imagine if it's like 100, let's say even 104 Fahrenheit, 40 Celsius out there, if your freezer or fridge stops working, you'll probably have less time in comparison if it was just 70 Fahrenheit out, or even 60 or 50 Fahrenheit out, just because the ambient temperature around said fridge is high. So in time, that heat will penetrate through the fridge and the freezer and melt or defrost or warm that up in time. Like, obviously you wouldn't want to open the door unnecessarily. You know, you quickly grab the milk and take it out, or, you know, you put the milk in a cooler that has some ice, right? Use it as a way to, you know, so you don't have to open up your main unit, your main fridge, for example, right? Like, back in 2021, I guess I'll mention this, right? I had a brief couple-hour power outage, couple hours, right? First thing, don't open the fridge. That was rule number one. Like, I just ate, because it was, like, after 7, right? So I'm like, well, I don't have to eat for a while, so I don't have to open the fridge for a bit, right? You know, I wasn't even game for coffee at that time, right? So I didn't need, like, milk or anything like that. So I was like, okay, right? But what I did need, like, on a day like this, too, right? Was just a very cool shower, just to kind of cool off, right? Like, literally, it was like a 2-minute shower. It wasn't, I wasn't having a shower to clean up. I was having a shower to cool down, right? So I didn't mind the cold water, right? But during that time, you know, without the power on or whatever, I had to resort to some lights, or alternative contingency light sources without the main primary light source available. So something like solar lights or whatever. I think I actually did use a solar light in the shower. It was a quick 2-minute shower, but I was just like, okay, I felt refreshed. I was able to think again, you know, because at that time, right, for what it is, wasn't sure when the power came back, and this was during a heat wave too. I'm pretty sure that day was, I don't know, 94 Fahrenheit, around 34, 33 Celsius. So it was warm enough out, and that was days of it already, a couple days at least. Not like today where it's not 5 degrees cooler than that, and it's only like the second day. Yes, I see you, Billy, in there. I'm just catching up on the chat real here. Yeah, I see. Yeah. Yeah, no place is perfect. You're gonna deal with the heat or the cold. I mean, it's nice when it's like fall, spring, that kind of transitional equinox time, right? Because it's not so bad, right? The transitional time. I think of all times of year, I kind of like September and like April, May, and September and October. Even though I can see some bits of heat or some bits of cold, right? Generally, it's kind of like, you know, 16 Celsius, 60 Fahrenheit during the day, maybe in the single digits for the overnight lows, or in the, let's say, upper 40s for you guys in the US, right? So it's not even that bad, right? You know, you just wear a hoodie or whatever, maybe a light jacket or whatever, you're good. And generally you're dressed for it, and you don't sweat, but it's not too cold either, right? You know, providing, you know, you got a jacket on or something like that, even if you're camping, right? You know, a sleeping bag or a couple blankets are pretty good, right? In comparison, if it was much hotter or much colder, you would have to take more drastic measures, in my opinion. Howie, I see you. Well, Howie, it's 29 here. You use the method that the fridge companies do not consider. Why? I have no clue. I spray foam behind the. Oh yeah, I've heard about that. And we turn down the thermostat and half of it. Oh, hey, here's a tip right here. Here's a tip. I'm sharing a couple of tips and tricks on this in the heat with CR as I think about them. I better get them out soon before I forget, before the heat starts to get to me, while I have a cool head and a cool level head. Right. But one of the things, okay, I know. See, I just said all that and now I'm forgetting what I was gonna say. See, the heat must be getting to me. I just lost that train of thought right out of my head. Right out of my head. It was just like, it was in my head and I just lost it in there real quickly in here. Oh yeah, now I remember. About the fridge. How many of you guys keep an actual manual thermometer? Not a digital one. A manual one, that actually has like mercury inside. The little red, right, indicator. I have one in my fridge. I know you could tech it up with like ones that are Bluetooth compatible or whatever, but I mean, because that's the thing, right? A fridge, you can feel the coolness, but you actually don't know the internal temperature. You can guess, right? You can guess, right? I could guess the temperature outside. I can guess the temperature, but how close am I, right? And having actual legit measurements, metrics to see, numbers to see, might be a good indicator on, is it, like where you just put it, let's say on the door, right? Because the door will probably get warmer for the main part of the fridge. So if the door's already reaching, let's say 5-6 Celsius, 40 plus Fahrenheit, or closer, that means the deeper parts of the fridge are starting to get into that range, right? But use your own best judgment, right? I'm not there when that happens at your place, right? Just like how you guys aren't here if something happens here, right? So use your own best judgment with it, and that's assuming you have a full fridge, and stuff like that. You could do that with a freezer is a little bit different, right? Because you can physically see the ice or it melting, right? So the difference. But in terms of like a fridge, you can only tell by coldness, right? Well, if it's hot outside, anything in the fridge probably feels cooler, right? But you have no idea. And of course, don't leave your fridge open for forever. That's okay. Take care, Lee. Yeah, or something like that. Oh, Cecily's making dinner. Nice. No, just slipped my mind o'clock. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. Just making sure I caught up with the chat. Yeah, I'm back at that bottom. Yeah. So that's one thing I always keep in mind, because it's just like, just in case, all right? Because then, like I said, then you at least have numbers, indicators, right? You're not just guessing it. You have everything to go with that touch or feel of it, right? Just like, like a freezer or whatever, you would notice ice melting or things falling out. You could do the whole coin thing if you want to do something like that, where you take a cup with like a paper cup with some water, freeze it, put a coin on the top, put a little bit of water on top of that, and let it freeze so it's standing at the top of the ice, and flip it upside down with a lid, right? And any kind of melting, the coin will automatically drop out first, right? And you would notice the difference, right? And basically that's what it is, right? A thermometer is to show you an indicator of a difference. So you can actually, not just feel it with your, It's just like feeling someone's forehead. Yeah, it feels warm, but then you double check it with some metric, like a number indicator, a quantitative type of measuring, right, to back up what you just felt, right? And it's like, yeah, it feels a little. I don't think it feels that hot, but the follower is saying, 99 Fahrenheit. Or 104 or whatever, 40 Celsius or whatever, right? So, you start taking it seriously. That kind of thing, right? Hey, it's real. Kind of real. How's it going, Costa? Hopefully you're doing well, though. If there's a nice cold hanging, it's probably cold, yeah. Yeah. That kind of thing, yeah. There's one thing I always keep in mind. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, I've shown this air thermometer. I've shown it when it's at minus 20 Celsius, minus 3 Fahrenheit on it. That's an outside thermometer, right? Mercury filled one, right? So, basically, as long as it doesn't crack or break, it'll keep going, right? There's not any quote unquote moving parts. The only thing that's, well, not really moving, but expanding is the mercury, or decreasing, right? So, and I don't have to worry about the battery in it. Obviously, I gotta look at the indicator and stuff like that. And it won't be as precise all the way, right? In comparison, if I have a digital thermometer that has like a bunch of decimals behind it, right? And stuff like that. But it'll give me a good approximation of it. And at least I can go from there, right? So I can always use something like that to, if I really needed to, just in case. 2 is 1, 1 is none, right? Yeah. What's 29 here right now? The real. Yeah, I see it. What do you mean? Oh, I've seen both sides of that. I've seen some heat and I've seen some cold. Just most of the time it's the cold, not usually the heat. Right. I mean, I always remember, water's gonna be your best friend in the heat. Always. If there was if there was like a metaphoric family feud thing where the survey was asking what's the most important thing during a heat wave, number 1 would be water. Probably, right? Probably right up there. If it wasn't number 1, it'd be number 2, that kind of thing, right? You'd be like, because you ain't getting far without it, right? Don't matter how much power you have, how much AC you got, or how much, you're in a cave or whatever. Eventually, you still need that water in time. Maybe it's not right away, but within a few days, you'll need it once again. You'll need some sort of fluids back into you, whatever it is. And probably some electrolytes, because you might be sweating. Where, depending on the duration and how active you are and the temperature, a little 500 ml bottle, half a liter, half a quart of water might not suffice very, very long, if at all. I mean, it'll still be better than nothing, honestly. Water's still better. Having some water is better than nothing, but it just feels like a couple sips at times when you're like, if it's the only one you have nearby or literally around you and you're just rationing it or sipping on it. Because sometimes the best canteen or whatever is in your system, right? I think like someone else has said before, ration your water, but do drink, right? You like I said, the best reservoir is in your system, right? It's like when you could spare the water. Speak of spare the water. when I brought it out here. You know, when you can spare water, that's when you start using misters, sprayers, automatic misters, and stuff like that to help you out. But, you know, that's only when you can spare the water, for example, right? Something like that, I thought I brought my mister out here. Mister, where are you? That'll be okay. I'll get another source around here anyways. I just don't know the numbers. Yeah. What by making a water student, you can regulate the temperature and even drink it. Wow. The thing is, let's see. Let's just say metaphorically you were in your own little mini pool, right? The thing is, depending on the temperature, because technically you can go hypothermic depending, right? Because it is possible even in the warmest of oceans, right? In time, right? But in terms of cooling off, might be useful. And hopefully you don't spring a pinhole leak. And I don't know. I'm just thinking about that, real. That's how people are going into deep water mining. No. I mean, I think he's talking about not like a wetsuit or a dry suit, but like an actual. Like, you're talking about like being in it, right? Using the water to regulate the temperature, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm confusing it. Yeah. Yeah. And I could swear I had it in my phone. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I thought I had it with me. Oh, I just said it is sunny out today. I thought I had it. Great. Hey, hold on a second. I gotta go grab it. I could still see the chat. Hold on. You know, it's funny. I just filled it up too. I mean, yeah, I guess this one will do it once I find it. Yeah, I just had it with me. I gotta close the door behind me. I gotta keep that warmer air from kind of penetrating into the doorway. That's another thing I keep in mind. It's one thing I made sure I did yesterday. Because the overnight temperatures we were having got down to 60 Fahrenheit. 16 Celsius for everyone else, right? But it was pretty much, it was only cool for about 7 hours. Relatively speaking, right? So basically, I flooded the inside with that cooler air. You know, open up the windows with the cross breezing, right? I'm trying to get that internal temperature down as low as possible. Because as soon as day breaks, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, the temperature is going to start rising into what I have right now. And in time, the interior can get warm. In time, right? It depends on the materials, how well they conduct heat, and how thick they are, and how long does it take for that heat to transfer to the inside, right? Which basically, you know, warms up the air on the inside, right? Because there is places out there that don't use AC or whatever, right? And they use passive cooling techniques. Higher ceiling, windows up high, the walls are thicker, right? They don't transfer the heat inside as fast. So the interior stays relatively cool in comparison to the outside temperature, right? Where it's a couple of degrees, 5 degrees or whatever cooler. And that's without active cooling system like AC fans, among some other things, right? Let's see, where am I at? You guys have a lot to say about that. I feel like now you're into desalination. I was actually thinking of doing a solar thing today. I was thinking about maybe tomorrow. If you could pump it into a very large system that it has improvised heat out to. Well, desalination takes power. Well, some form of energy input. Whatever they can use. Let's see. You guys are still talking about the water in the suit. Well, that suits me. That totally suits me. Then you guys are talking about it. Oh, Bob Snow is so fiery. Yeah. Oh, just use it. See, that one I have to find that other spray bottle. I don't know how I misplaced it. Because I thought I brought it out before I started the stream. Yeah. Thank goodness I have a backup one. Now that I think I'm gonna maybe I need to go to a place or first store or whatever and try to find some spray bottles again. Something suitable. Something that I can easily carry. The thing is about a little spray bottle, even like a spray bottle like you would use for like cleaning your glasses. See, I wear glasses, so that's why I have the spray bottles, right? Plenty of spray bottles because, it allows you to like kind of use that water selectively and to ration it in terms of like just spraying, right? So for this one, it pumps down, but it doesn't pump back. It doesn't automatically go back up the nozzle. So I'm just like, it'll work, but it's not ideal. Speak of ideal, probably ideal if I plug in my phone. That'd probably be a smart idea, right, Sierra? That'd probably be a real smart idea, dude. That'd probably be a smart idea if I do something like that. Yeah, that'd probably be a real smart idea. Yeah. It would have probably been a smart idea that if I got angled my device so my cable would come out on the left side, not on the right side. That would have been smart too. I forgot about that. Yeah, whatever. Look at my phone here. Alright, so that's my phone's city water suit. You guys are still talking about that? You guys are still talking about that water suit? Oh, bye. Alright, well, I got my water anyways. Oh, one thing I need to do is absolutely 100% have to do is because it's so hot outside and I need to charge my device or whatever. The spray bottle is actually not just for me, it's actually for my device. Because water can pull heat away from something quite quickly, relatively speaking, Not as fast as like metal, like aluminum or steel, but faster than the air can. What I'm doing here is I pulled out my case on for my phone. I wet my palm here. A couple spritz. Yeah, I just wipe my hand along the back of my phone here, because the water will pull the heat off on my device. Because the last thing I actually want for the stream is to be like, oh, sorry guys, phone overheated, right? I mean, if it's not that, it's the cold, right? So I'm like, yeah, I gotta make sure the device keeps going. Because especially now, it's warm, hot enough outside that if I'm running it too, like actually doing something, like streaming, or anything more complicated than that, the device is gonna warm up quickly just because it's generating that extra heat for the processes that it's doing. So I'm like, yeah, I gotta make sure every so often cool it off. Like, I have some cement, I can lay it right on the cement. The cement's nice and cool. It'll pull the heat out of my phone quite nicely. You guys are still talking. I just had to read some of this chat here. Alright. Let me just want my palm again. I just want to make sure before I start. I had to do this before plugging back in my phone. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Now it just feels kind of just warm, not like starting to warm up too fast. Because as soon as I plug in my phone too, it's gonna warm up too, to a certain degree. So I want to make sure it's good. More reasons how even a simple piece of technology like a spray bottle, right? You know, it's a modern thing, right? Obviously with plastic and stuff, but you know, in spite of it being plastic, it is still useful. I mean, I'm using it right now, and for myself. Why not? Especially if a breeze comes back by again. Help me out. Oh yeah, that feels good. This breeze coming by, like I said, there is no cloud cover today. Unlike yesterday, there's absolutely no cloud cover. It is clear out. And I'm assuming it's gonna be, well, I already know it's gonna be hotter. Once more, it's warmer out. As I try not to ration this water too much. Oh, really? Make sure my device is charging here. Yeah, it is. So. What? Well, at least these guys are keeping a cool head. They're talking about water and things related to it. But yeah. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to get more used to this. Right? You're probably like, you're talking about acclimatize to it? Or acclimatize to it? I mean, sort of, right? I mean, like I said in a previous stream and our streams and our streams I visit, right? Or as a co-host or as a panel member, you know, everyone has their tolerances to heat and cold. Everyone does, to a certain degree. Some people prefer this or that, one or the other, or both, or neither, right? But one thing's for sure, everyone has an upper tolerance to it, upper limit to it, where your body itself will start giving out, right? Without some, you know, intervention of some sort, right? Like water, or let's say warmth, like from like body heat and stuff like that in the winter, right? It's just a matter of time, you know. We can handle a wide range of temperatures, but, you know, there's a certain degree of the body's not give out. You know, you might have a strong mind, but the willingness, eventually your body will give out because it needs more water. It needs more heat to stay warm, and it needs to cool down because it's reaching up to that 99 Fahrenheit, 39 Celsius range, right? And you're starting to overheat. Or fall below 95 Fahrenheit, because you're getting too cold, whatever, right? So, something I always keep in mind. So, from what I've heard, everyone's getting rain randomly. Like, is it really, like, just raining everywhere else? I should have known. Because, like, when you guys were having the heat out east, both in southern Ontario, Quebec, and like the northeastern part of the U.S. Michigan, Maine, I'm sorry, I don't live in the U.S., so my U.S. geography is not so great. So you guys can help me along with the states and all those places, New York City, blah blah. Blah. All right. It while that was happening, a couple weeks back, right? Out west here, it was like 20 between 20 25 Celsius, 70 Fahrenheit range, right? It was quite nice, and we were getting rain every so often, at least here for me, right? So maybe it's that turn or the cycle again. Yeah, where you see it, right? I'm just like, man, right? Because the funny thing is, I saw 90 Fahrenheit already this year, just not this month. I saw it back in late May, and like I said in that stream where I talked about it, I was just like, that felt warm during that time of year, right? Because I don't usually see a temperature like that during that time of year. It was very brief, like a day or two at most, right? But technically, there was a heat warning during that time. Very brief though, and the temperature I shouldn't say rebounded, but more like dropped out back to like 21, 22, 70 Fahrenheit range. It's just like, a little bit different. I mean, obviously, there was less daylight hours. Well, actually, it might be. Hey, end of May, and end of July should almost be the same amount of daylight hours, I would assume. Because it's only 1 month before and after June, which is the summer solstice. So yeah. So the daylight hours was probably more or less the same, but I think this time around the temperature's not as high, but it's gonna be days of it again, right? Or your interior temperature, or your internal temperature starts to rise. So let me guys ask you. Have you guys been able to maintain your garden areas? You guys been talking about the heat and some of this water. You guys been able to keep up with that? Maintain that, hopefully? I mean, for the most part, most of my stuff's relatively green, healthy. It's not, the leaves aren't just falling over or drying out or turning brown, so... It's still working out quite nicely. Maybe I'll show you guys in a moment when my battery turns up a little bit more here. While I wait for you guys to respond to that. There. Well, I guess I know where Billy stands on that. I totally know where Billy stands on that because he just told us. Like right now, let's say what else. Some of your gardeners are okay. We hit the point of a couple weeks ago where we have to water every day. If the ground isn't watered, then there's huge cracks that only. Not only that, the soil becomes hydrophobic in time because it totally dries out. I remember what you said yesterday, Billy, and I've known about that for a bit too. It's for the same reason why in desert environments that has no moisture in the ground whatsoever, you get runoffs. Because it's faster for the water to slide on the surface and run than to soak into the ground with the rest of the water, if that makes any sense. So hence it becomes hydrophobic, or it seems like it's hydrophobic. Maybe it's absorbing some water, but it's not as much as it can do. Right? It's a lot less. I've seen that a couple of times too, where it's just like, it just ran off instead of soaking into the ground where, wherever it is, the trees, the plants, the sunflower, whatever, right? Are you sure she's not like watching you type that, by the way, Billy? I mean, she's not done randomly like subscribe to the channel and be like, what the hell did he say? Did he? I mean, if you want to retract it, Billy, it's cool, man. It's cool. You want to retract it, and I get it, man. I get it. I understand, man. You know, I don't want to see you in the doghouse. So you'd say you're struggling, your corn was struggling, but now your melons and peppers and herbs are doing quite well. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that's how it is. Now you've been carrying water to real? I see. She's shopping, you think. She's distracted, everyone. She's distracted, everyone. Just make sure you don't have like the text to speech thing or randomly. She'll hear it. Oh, she hears like this computer voice. My wife is blah 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 blah. It should be like, well, let's just say she'd be storming in. It wouldn't be a good thing, probably. See, even in the shade, my phone's warm, not hot, but warm. So every so often, I'll make sure I cool it down. I always keep that in mind. Because, I mean, let's just say in this heat, right, you're going to make a call or whatever, right, and stuff like that. It'd be nice to make sure your phone's not to overheat while you're using it. Especially if you have to actually use it for an emergency call. Like, you have to make this call. Like, you gotta call home, you gotta call a loved one, that kind of thing. I'm talking about that, right? I'm not talking about, like, some medical emergency. That'd be totally different, but you would still need the power. A device, a phone, a way of communication that's actually not working, not just not be like, you don't hear anything, you look down and say, your phone has overheated. And you're like, no! Right? Because you weren't considering because you're sitting in a vehicle or whatever, right? It happens, right? Phones are vulnerable to cold and the heat. That's why I said, I prefer like April, May, September, and October now. More frequently at times. Because it's not too hot, but it's not cold too, right? It's not like what it is right now, but it's not really below freezing too, right? It's just right, a nice, right in the middle, right? In that Goldilocks zone. I kind of like that. At least, let's see, 2 + 2, 4, yeah. A third of the year. So, a third of the year, I like it. Quite a bit, generally speaking, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I like the winter and summer too for the things or whatever, right? But, sometimes I'm just like, can I just get back to like 20? Can I just get back to like just below freezing? That'd be nice. I don't mind it, but come on, can you give me a break? Mother Nature's not randomly give me a break. Or any one of us, right? It will be what it is for that day or that week, right? Always to keep that in mind, right? It's during these heat waves or whatever, right, that people experience at times. You gotta remember, our things are going on at the same time, whatever it is, right? It just compounds anything or issues or whatever, right? If you're older, elderly, right, younger, stuff like that. I mean, I'm not even talking about like anything more serious, like a power outage, that kind of, or whatever, that you don't have access to grid power or among some other things, right? Not just electricity or power, but maybe even water, if it lingers long enough, right? I'm well aware of that kind of stuff. Hence why you see random water things up high or hills. Those are probably water that's pumped in, right? That's fed in through a pump, right? And gravity pushes it back down when it's needed, right? But without pumps to replenish that, eventually it'll dry out. Because there won't be any more water for the gravity to push down into your sink or faucet. And it's like, all you hear is like, doot, doot. It's not water you're hearing. It's just air. It's like, Right? That's all you hear. And that would be a bad sign. Especially if you weren't ready. Yeah? Yeah. Nice, nice. I still want. I'm still. Like I said, I'm still waiting for a solar version, a solar powered type of fan. One of my subscribers has one. She's mentioned it every so often. I'm just like, oh, I swear I want kind of something like that. That'd be nice right here, or whatever, right? You know, indirectly, maybe even indirectly power it, or whatever. But like, kind of use solar energy to keep cool with. That'd be nice. I mean, I guess it's possible with just a solar panel, but one of my subscribers, they have something. It's like this. It's basically like a really slim box fan. And it probably has a solar panel and a internal rechargeable lithium-ion battery of some sort, something along the lines of that. I mean, one of my friends has this air one that's like, has a light and it's got power out, right? Charge up devices just like your phone or whatever, right? It's also a fan, free setting, yeah, low, medium, high fan. So I managed to try that out last year when I went camping. Yeah, I it looks like I'm doing camping this year. Oh well. I guess I'll just have to sweat it out in the stream. I won't have camping content, but I'm sweating it out on this stream content as a live stream. Why not? Yeah. Well, dude. Here, Howie. See ya. The lithium. The sodium. Na. Batteries. Yeah. They're supposed to have like less upper capacity, but they're easier to source in comparison. But everything has to be retrofitted and all that stuff. I've seen a few minor stories and things about it every so often. I'm not directly subscribed to those channels, but I do watch some of their content at times. Give me one sec. Yeah, so let's see. I mean, there's energy out there, right? Let's just face it. There's plenty of energy. It's more like harnessing it and storing it. And it becomes the kind of main thing to deal with, right? The logistics behind all that kind of stuff where it's cost effective and all that stuff, right? Because there's plenty of solar energy. Although it's not, and plenty of wind and other things, right? But they're not equally available for everyone to use. And it's not always available at a given time. Eventually it turns night. Eventually it calms down. The wind calms down. Or it's not strong enough. Or this river or lake dries up. Or this coal is no longer available in this mine. Or whatever, right? Or there's not enough. The battery capacity, some battery backup is only for 2 to 4 hours or 4 hours, right? Even on the grid, it could be only as high as that, probably, right? And then the sheer volume of it, right? It's, there's a big difference between like, a battery that's running like the grid compared to like a very small bun-sized battery, or even rechargeable the way, right? Well, for rechargeable, but the grand scale of things, right? You're like, oh, that's what's up. Yeah, I've heard about stuff like that. it's trying to harness it, right? I mean, right now, like, in terms of heat, right? I mean, at best, for most of us, it's probably not solar during the heat. Usually, during the heat, it's usually probably summer, more or less, and available. And usually, these heat waves are, it's actually sunny, right? Because usually, it's going to be a ridge high pressure system, for example, that kind of lingers around or whatever, right? And just kind of constantly, like how I see it today, clear skies, nothing but sun, but the temperature's high enough, right? So, I mean, if I really wanted to, I can grab something else out and run a fan right off of, well, not right off solar, but charging a battery that the battery will run the fan if I wanted to, but there's a breeze out here, so it's not so bad. I mean, I could dip into that if I really, really wanted to. So it's something I keep in, just in case. Because the last time I had a power outage here, that helped me out, and that was even really during the power outage. It just helped me just because of like what I'm doing, right? Sitting, eating some food at 8 o'clock at night, right? Feel a little bit warm because the food's a little bit warm, right? It's not cold food I'm eating, right? Like a salad or whatever. I'm like, I need to cool off. I'm like, yeah, just quickly run a fan just to cool off, right? Cool off my neck, cool off my body, right? Like right now, I feel great actually. Slight sweating, but or stickiness, but I'm still able to sweat if I needed to. And my mouth's not dry. If my mouth was dry, not only would I be sipping water like I am right in 2 seconds, but I'd probably do something else. Especially if I was sweating a lot. Dry mouth. Like the mister, like I've shown earlier. Couple spritz. Oh yeah. This looks good. Especially with the breeze going by. And some evaporative cooling going on. See, now some of my windows are in the shade now, but since the ambient temperature outside is much hotter than internal temperature inside, I'm gonna wait to open up more windows. Right? Because unless there's a very strong breeze going by, and I don't get much of a cross breeze, and basically the heat will diffuse, conduct inward. Alright? Remember, heat goes from high concentration to low concentration, from heat hot to cold, right? So the heat outside will start to migrate its way in within time. Like I said, depending on the materials of your building or house or home or whatever, apartment or anything like that, right? And how high you are on the levels, right? Like in a house or whatever, right? A basement's always gonna be cooler. Right? Always gonna be cooler. Like cooler, like it feels like you're in AC, but it's not. It's just naturally like that, passively cooled like that, right? Because the heat can't penetrate all the way in like that, and also heat rises, right? Due to buoyancy, right? So things like an upstairs bedroom or whatever is gonna be much hotter, much hotter compared to like a downstairs bedroom or guest bedroom or a cellar or basement or rec room or storage room or pantry room or laundry room or anything like that. It's gonna be a lot cooler down there. Especially if it's got bare floor, right? No carpet. You touch that floor with your body or your bare feet, you're gonna feel that instant coolness right away. Well, yeah. Well, nothing's 100% efficient. There's a byproduct of heat to some degree, right? Some degree. All right. So. Hey, it's Merv. Hi. It's only 77. Yeah. Can't have it all. I'm just glad that during this heat wave, like, it's like, for me, the skies are clear. There's no smoke or haze in the sky. I've been actually quite fortunate. Early on, there was haze back in May due to fires north of me, but, like, far north, by the way. But, you know, they kind of been taming it. There's some moist. There's been rains ever so often here in Canada, out west, so it's tamed it down a bit, or the wind direction, right? So, because it would kind of suck to, you know, have both going on again. Because you don't, you know, like, and I can start understanding of appeal for something like AC, right? Air conditioning, right? You know, air conditioning. Because if you have smoke in the air, right? Do you really want to open the windows to let the breeze in if there's a lot of smoke coming in too? Like haze or whatever, right? Or I could see the, you know, one of very few positives for AC, right? But on a clear day like this, no smoke in the sky or haze in the sky, you know, overnight I'll let the windows open or open up the windows, let that cooler breeze migrate back in, so the heat inside migrates back out, right? Then at the start of the day, tomorrow's Friday, right? TGIF, I start off at, like, hopefully at 70 Fahrenheit and not 80 Fahrenheit, right? Because if I start at 80 Fahrenheit in the morning, it's gonna feel like almost 90 in mid-afternoon. Whereas if it starts at 70 in the morning, or so around there, it'll only get up to 80 inside, right? And more, you know, you see what I mean? A little proactiveness right there, right? So I'm making sure that, you know, stuff like that to keep it cool. I mean, and besides, it might help during it when you're sleeping or whatever, right? I mean, that's another thing, right? Eventually, you need to rest in summer, right? You get to rest in time, right? It's kind of hard to sleep in the heat, right? I mean, I'm always wondering, like, is sleeping in the heat worse than sleeping in the cold, right? I don't know what's worse. Like, twisting and turning because you can't sleep in the heat, or you can't fall asleep because you're cold. I don't know what's worse. And they're probably just as bad as each other. Yeah, I got you. Merv. Oh, I see. Hopefully things improve for you. The swamp cooler things, I've tried stuff like that out. Evaporator coolers, yeah. I've tried stuff like that out. It works, I mean, it works, but it works better when it's still drier out, and if the air temperature is, or the temperature itself is below still your body temperature, 98.6, 37 Celsius. Right? I'm not saying it doesn't help at all, but, you know, water will still help, but it's not as great. It'll still help, but it's not as great. Well, Merv, I'll give you that. I'll give you that straight up. She's thinking outside the box on the... Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean, Bill. Yeah, you want to make sure you understand that. Alright. Speak of which, I can't remember. See, I'm just holding my phone. I can feel the warmth coming back into it again. It means I gotta be proactive here. Because I totally don't want to, like, stop the stream because... Sorry, Sierra, your phone has overheated. Please wait till it cools down, alright? And I know what would happen. So, proactively spraying my hand with some water and just wiping my hand along the back of my device. Nothing too dramatic, right? Right, it's still a piece of tech or electronic, right? On the outside, it'll be fine. Cool that down a bit. because I can feel it, and I know in time it will probably would happen. So I'm trying to be proactive here, just like how I have water in my hands. Right? I can go grab a fan if I want to. I'm sitting in the shade, right? You know, if I don't have to be in the sun, be in the shade, right? If you don't have to stand in in the shade, sit, right? That kind of thing, right? Because less energy, right? Like I've already been seeing it around here with me, and you guys probably see it too wherever it gets hot, or relatively speaking, right? Probably more people do stuff in the morning, early in the morning, let's say 8 o'clock in the morning, or at 8 o'clock at night, because it's relatively cooler out. Outside that midday sun, midday heat, right? I mean, right now, you know, most people are just chilling inside, just buying their time. I'll walk the dog later, or whatever, right? I saw someone, like, it was no word of a lie, like, I saw someone walking their dog at 2 a.m. in the morning, right? I was just like, probably because, it's cooler out, It's probably not because that's the only time they have, it's probably because it's cooler out, right? I just see them go by there, just kept walking. I'm like, yeah, I already knew. Because I could hear it, I'm like, oh, who's this? Awareness. And then I'm like, oh, it's just someone walking their dog. Probably because it's cooler outside, right? Like right now, it's midday, right? Probably the hottest part of the day for me right now, right? A little bit of breeze, right? But I bet I could go for a walk. I probably only see maybe a handful of people walking. Like walking without a vehicle, without AC, without being in a vehicle, right? Yeah, I would see people in a vehicle, in cars and trucks, right? With windows either rolled down for a breeze or rolled up because they're using AC, right? So, sometimes you gotta pick time of day, adjust to it too, right? Adjust your schedule to it. Take care, my Murph. Yeah, so let's see where my time is. Alright. I'll probably go till the top of the hour again. Yeah, more or less. No, if you don't have to. I mean, if you're gonna do it because of work, or you're gonna go run an errand, you're gonna do it because you have no choice, or whenever you're getting paid for it, or helping someone move, right? Whenever possible, try to reschedule it, or whatever, right? Like if you're helping someone move something or whatever, start at 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, let's just say today, hypothetically speaking, you're helping someone move, and it's a Friday, and they're gonna get money so they can get the U-Haul or their moving truck or whatever, right? And it's supposed to be, let's say, 35 Celsius, 95 Fahrenheit out, right? I'd be like, is it possible we can do this, like, at, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, right? I'll help you, right? Or whatever, right? And, or whatever, right? And we'll take a break during the afternoon, maybe grab, like, a sundae or whatever, or whatever, a nice cool drink, iced tea or whatever, and then get back at it at, excuse me, at, 6 o'clock at night, right? I'll help you keep doing it, but, the heat of the sun, if you're moving stuff, you're moving furniture or whatever, and you just keep moving around, right? So, yeah, that would kind of suck. Yeah, welcome back, man. So, I think I got enough. I still got about 3 bars on my battery bank, so I should be good for a little bit. I'm at 52, so let's see how much I can go with that. So I tried to stand back up since I've been sitting for seems like forever, for the last 30 minutes. I know one thing's for sure, I gotta swap out some batteries that I have. I'm charging up. Make sure, since I'm supposed to be getting sun for the next couple days still, including today, I'm trying to charge up some solar, I was gonna say solar batteries, but, standard nickel metal hydride batteries, rechargeable batteries. Just in case. And besides, if I fill them all up, I can actually use them then, right? And then indirectly use solar solar power, solar energy to keep cool with later on. Okay. Hey, Verna. How are you doing, Verna? Straight up. Straight up, I'm making you a mod. Verna. I don't know why I didn't make you a mod the last entire time. Yeah, whatever. It's all cool. It's nice to see you, Verna. Hi, Auntie Verna. Yeah. Okay. Oh, what's that? I just heard something. Your dream is to build a house inside a high hill. Yeah, yeah. Well, it regulates the temperature. It wouldn't be as cold or as hot, relatively speaking, but not the upfront cost of digging, right? And all that stuff. Actually, I think Mother Earth just already took off. Verna, so. But yeah, I see what you mean there, Claude. Definitely see what you mean there. But that's something you actually have to. You can't retrofit something like that, right? You actually have to own the whole area, right? You ain't doing that. I'm pretty sure I'm not seeing that in a lot of places, where it can't be retrofitted. Right? Digging is expensive. That's why geothermal is expensive. It's because the digging parts of it, right? Because you gotta dig deep enough, right? It's not like you're just digging a cat hole or a garden hole or a plant hole. For a plant, right? Totally different. You gotta dig. What was it like? What, like 1 story down or whatever? Something like that. Oh, okay. I see. Oh, okay. Well, then, if you're doing it yourself, you're gonna do it just awesome. You're just gonna do it awesome. You got it, man. You got it. It's in the bag, or it's in the house. I'm almost debating on bringing out that this fan now. You know? See, that's one thing I noticed about, like, misters or anything like that. Like, if there's a sufficient amount of water, it'll cool you off. But if you're just misting your body, like, if there's no airflow, the water doesn't really evaporate off your skin that fast, right? If there's a breeze, then that's one thing, right? Because, I mean, I'm sitting in an enclosed spot right now, right? No airflow. So it's actually warmer in this area than outside, because the heat's contained and there's no airflow, even though it's out of the sun. Ooh, 58. 50, 58. 15 Celsius. That'd be nice. Living roof. Yeah. Well, I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess you try something like that, depending on the size of the plants. Or the root structure, I guess, right? Like something like tomatoes or something like that don't dig that far deep, right? It's not like you're putting a tree on the top. Hey, if you put a tree on the top of your roof, does that mean you have a tree house? Just the house parts down below the tree? Does it still count as a tree house if it's like that? Or does a tree house actually have to be like in tree? Like, just think about that. It's like, is there a definition of it? Look it up and tell me. Okay, so I'm just thinking about that. Can you still call it a tree house if the tree is above the house? Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. I can just tell. Hey, I like your crib. Oh, you mean this big treehouse? you know, I built it with my own 2 hands, and some machinery and some tools. All right, but with my 2 hands. All right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just the way it is, right? I mean, just like with anything, right? Heat, cold, whatever, water. You just, it's like, you would just have to plan for it as much as possible for what it is. Okay, it's way too warm in here. I don't know why I shouldn't be sitting in here. Actually, it's actually nicer outside. There's a breeze out here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That feels nice. You know, if you're sweating and there's some wind or whatever, or breeze, it's not so bad. Not so bad. It's when you don't actually have any, or you're not sweating, or you don't have any water, or there's no breeze or no fan or whatever, and you start noticing it, and you can't get down to the lower area, and you can't even get in the shade. Like how I am right now. I'm getting in the shade right now. Right? I'm still wearing shoes, but I just took off my sock, put my bare foot on the cement. It'll cool me off, because the cement's much cooler than my body right now, so so definitely I'll definitely remember to be like, yeah, sometimes go barefoot. Right? With the skin contact the ground. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it, right? Because in the bushcrafting survival community, they say, especially during the winter or whatever, right? Don't sleep directly on the ground. The ground will suck the heat right out of you, right? Well, I'm using that inversed. I want the ground to pull the heat away from me because it's hot outside, relatively speaking. It's bare feet on the ground, for example, right? I mean, it could be a piece of metal that's in the shade that's cold or whatever, right? And that's what I'm doing. What the fuck? Oh, I was, what? I'm just gonna highlight that. I'm gonna just highlight that on the screen. She goes, he sounds like you when you're mumbling and sleeping. I said, yeah. He's like one of those voices in my head. Yeah. Pass me a coffee, Billy. Feed me. Oh, that's funny. I had to put that on the screen right there. I could remember it later on when they show everyone. Auntie Verna. Yeah. She'll be, I don't know. I get a metaphor. I can't give any metaphors if you guys don't know the show. I could almost give a metaphor. Not quite. I was gonna give the Walking Dead metaphor, but never mind. Not everyone watches that. But yeah, I could see that something like that happening. Yeah. I could not imagine. Like, on a serious note of the heat, right? This reminds you of something else. Like, you can't have to wait for like some relief aid or whatever. Let's say water, like a water truck or whatever, right? I mean, it's one thing if you're the only one waiting or a few people are waiting, right? It's, people can wait or whatever, but imagine some other scenario, grid down or whatever, power outage or whatever, water main break or whatever, right? And you're waiting around in line or waiting for water from a water truck. Man, that'd be not the best situation to be in, right? Because if people are like waiting outside for water like that, it probably means that they don't have any inside, or they're running dehydrated or hot or whatever. It's in the heat. And you know what happens in the heat or whatever, stuff like that. People don't think straight. People fight over things, right? And unnecessarily because, you know, not unnecessarily because they have a reason, but, you know, because, you know, they're trying to get resources for their own family. Not just only themselves, right? I'm gonna cool off my phone again. Dang it. There's the spray bottle in there. In the other room. Well, there, outside the room. I'm gonna go get it. But yeah. But most of one of the meanest, okay? No, I know, but I mean, like, if you're forced to, like, what I'm saying is, like, you literally don't have another option. Or you're trying to be, like, a great man, great person, and looking like you still have water, but you're going there because your neighbor's out there, too, right? If your neighbors don't see you kind of deal, they'll be like, you know, or something along the lines of that, I mean. If you're wondering, this water I'm using right now is actually just gray water. Like, this is from, like, I'm waiting for the shower to warm up water, right? Like, in a bucket or whatever, right? So, I'm not using, like, quote-unquote, out of the tap type of water. Or drinkable water. I mean, technically, it probably is. Alright? It's just been in a bucket, a clean bucket, or pail, or whatever, right? 5-gallon pail, but I was just like looking, I'm like, oh yeah, I do have water down there in that bucket. So I figure I'd use it. So. You know, if you got one of those auto misters that, you know, you pump it up and, you know, you pressurize it, yeah. Those would help too. Although, you know, you want to probably control how much water it uses, right? Since it's continuously going for the water, right? You can literally blow for the water quite quickly because you're always shooting it out. I can't figure the word. Oh, I'm trying not to sneeze. Oh, and thanks in advance. Yeah, I got you, partner, yeah. Nah, I think I'll pass on that, Billy. I think I'll pass on that idea. I don't need the watch time that badly. But as we in another year or two from now, maybe I'll change my mind. No. Maybe I'll change my mind. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, everyone. I'm kidding. Not being serious. Seriously not being serious. Does not even make sense, but yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, remember, water can have things dissolve into it. Floating into it. You name it, it can happen. Right? Salt. Sodium. Salt. Nitrogen. Alright? Algae. Biological stuff. Protozoa. Bacteria. Viruses. You know, radiation, chemicals, right? What happened, or whatever, any sort of that. I mean, you gotta identify the water, right? Kind of use your own best judgment, right? You know, there's a trade-off for all of that stuff, right? For what it is. But yeah. Because I could just, I mean, like, some of these places right now where, like, some of the resources are very limited, right? Not just food, right? For famine or whatever, but the water itself, right? You know? Because I can imagine some of these places are still warm, right? They still need water, too, right? So, like, and you can't go that long without water, right? You can go a little bit longer without food. A little bit longer, but, you know, in time you still need it too, right? Before something serious happens, especially if you're not getting your complete proteins, your vitamin C, and amongst some other things, right? Where you just wither away, right? Or in terms of like water, you just dehydrate and just kind of, oh yeah, you'd be wishing you still had that dehydration headache, you know, that kind of thing. That's the part of, well, that too. I mean, yeah, there's also distillation, reverse osmosis, right? There's also transpiration. There's other ways of getting water when possible, right? Or through condensing, right? For the air too, right? But you know, you need that kind of resource or your infrastructure in place beforehand, right? You know, there's many ways of doing it, but you have one when you need it the most. Like right now, since it's hot out, I would actually consider solar distillation because it's actually hot enough out, right? Enough sunlight, right? It will take some time, right? But you know, you just, let's just say some sort of little pool, put containing water, put a clean the glass in the middle, put the rock, you know, let it go, right? You'll have to wait, right? Because you're only solar heating it up, right? So it takes some time to, you know, cause the water to vaporize and recondense and all that stuff, right? But once you do it, you just leave it alone and do what I'm doing. Sit in the shade, right? Reserve. What's the word I'm looking for? Conserve, not reserve. Conserve the water that you do have, right? Come on, see our words, right? That's how you would do it. I mean, like, if you're on the desert island, you're trying to make a solar still or whatever, right? You probably aim to doing that outside the heat of the sun, if possible, right? Because, like, even me, if I just did it right now without digging, I'd still be sweating because I'm in the sun setting it up, right? Just imagine digging the sand, digging dirt on the ground in the heat, right? Anyone actually do that, right? Dig a hole when it's hot outside. Yeah, tell me you're not gonna start sweating. You are, because you're lifting heavy stuff, right? Hold on a sec. Alright, I'm back. Yeah. I talked to someone real quick. But yeah, I should be able to go till the top hour. See. All I know is I'll probably stay in the shade for the rest of the stream, and maybe I'll go for a walk. We'll see if I even see anyone. What's up, DK? Dave? I see you in there, man. What? What? Dave's got that? What? Here I am just sweating buckets. Even in the shade. I was able to sit on nice cool grass like Sassy told me earlier in the beginning of the stream. Sitting in nice cool grass, CR. In the shade. Yeah. That's what I'll do. It's clearly I need to. Speak of which, I think I will confidently change a few things. Providing I can actually click on it. Come on. There we go. Let's change a few things out here. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. You guys were talking about water, and I see your comment in there. The real. Like even if you have a water filter, always remember it doesn't matter. There's one thing, as far as I know, generally speaking, as far as I know, with every water filter out there, like it doesn't matter if it's that commercial reverse osmosis or some sort of desalination or Berkeley, Grail, Life Straw, what? Oh, except pure, all the other brands right out there, right? Cadine, whatever, right? They all have a number limit, right, for the filtration, right? And I mean, yeah, what they filter will be different, right? But their upper limit of what they filter is, there's always an upper limit, right? A max capacity before the filter just kind of, is plugged up, right? It's even reverse osmosis on a commercial, like, industrial, like kind of setting, right? Like, think of lots of those things, but every so often, and they gotta replace them because it clogs up with the what's the word I'm looking for? The filter medium becomes clogged, for example, right? I mean, remember when Verna said earlier, she said about oil filter, all of that stuff, right? Well, always try to consider pre-filtering as much as possible, right? Because that's one of those things that, like, it's gonna be important, right? Especially in the long term or on the long game, right? Of things, right? Don't premature, if you use mud water through like some of these filters, right? You're probably gonna clog it pretty fast. Maybe not the first time, or the second time, but in time you're clogging it. If you're just putting in mud water, eventually you're gonna clog up those filters, right? Like, any one of those, right? I mean, look at the videos you see people using that stuff, right? They don't put mud water through it, right? They try to use a running stream, or it's pre-filtered through a bandana, pre-filtered through a coffee filter, bandana, or shirt or whatever, just to get the salt pieces out, right? But like, you don't see people like filtering water that's like muddy, right? Usually people will be like, oh, I'm gonna let that settle out, right? I don't want to clog my filter, right? They let it settle out. They use that, what's that called? What's that called? That stuff that P&G has that clumps the material together, right? And then you just drain off the solid material at the bottom, right? Even, stuff like that, right? There's a reason for it, right? Right? It's not just to have clear water or the taste. It's just so you filter that out, or you pre-filter that out, so it doesn't go through your main filter, right? Hence, even desalination is like that, right? They have, even water treatment plants are all like that, right? They're all pre-filtered water, right? I mean, you can go through, like in a situational, like serious situation that's more longer term or whatever, or without certain things, right? Even pre-filtering through through natural means, right? Sand, charcoal, stuff like that, rocks and stones and stuff like that may help. Even if you have a nice commercial, man-made, expensive, high capacity, removes this and that filter, right? Because it just buys you more time. If you think about it, right? Because your filter, your nice filter doesn't have to do all that work and get clogged up, right? And you can get more life out of it, right? Yep, yeah. Yeah, whenever possible, right? Yeah. Yeah, the milk bank, yeah, to really get it. Yeah, right? Because that's the kind of stuff. I'm like, I guess I can relate it in because I'm talking about in the heat, right? In the heat, you're not need water, right? In time, right? In time, you're not need water. You know? That mud water might look pretty good after a couple of days without water. I'm just saying, alright? I'm just saying. When you're thirsty, hungry, cold, too hot, or shivering or whatever, you'll do almost whatever it takes, right? You pull out all the stops, alright? No matter what, because it's literally survival at that rate, right? You're not just an inconvenience, or you're not camping or even glamping. I mean, you're not glamping or even camping, right? It's like literally you're in survival mode at that time, right? So you'll be like, start doing stuff or whatever, right? Or you'll be like lethargic and tired more often, right? You don't want to do anything. So that's one of the things I always keep in mind. Take care for now. I appreciate you pausing and stopping by. Take care. See what I did there? I made it rhyme. It sounds better. It always works better when I write it and not say it. Because homonyms don't work that way. They sound the same, but are written differently. It doesn't work that way for me. But whatever. Let's see, where am I at? Alright. About 5-6 more minutes. It's almost the top hour. I had to double check the time. Yeah, this arc might help too. Yeah. Because it might help in the long run, alright? Hell, even if you don't want to mess with anything, right? You don't want to make it DIY, you can just, get quote unquote. I mean, I'm not saying this would totally filter out everything, but just like using a cheaper filter as a pre-filter, if that makes any sense. Like, you would still be like after that pre-filtering stage, right? You'd still boil, distill, disinfect, water treatment, or use a better filter, or your quote unquote nice filter, right? We consider that depending on your setup and what you have, right? Or what it is, right? I mean, like, if you're in an apartment or whatever, you can only store so much water, right? Compared to like a home, a house, or whatever. Even in comparison to like a duplex or a condo area that you have like, it's narrower, but you have an upstairs and a downstairs, but you have like a little bit of outside space, right? Because at least you could store water like that. I mean, storing water inside that large amount of water, right? It'd be tricky. And you always have to make sure the containers never bust, right? I think that's one thing, right? I don't think your landlord or whatever, or the tenant below you would be appreciative if you like, whoops, that 55-gallon drum just sprayed a leak, and yeah, that's a lot of water in an apartment building to have just running around, right? I think this is why those bricks and more manageable size, like 5 gallons, are probably a little bit easier to move around, easier to it's not an all-in-one, right? If you use one, it's just 5 gallons. You can still clean it up or mop it up, but yeah. Take care of the reel. It's all good. I'll be sliding out relatively shortly here. In a couple more minutes here. As I sit in the shade once again. Actually, I actually see my sunflower in front of me. One of them. It's in the sun right now. So. And yes, sunflower can actually relate to being in the heat. And can relate it in. I know I can. Like, you'll have to wait for that video because I'm in the process of shooting the content for it. It will not be available this year. So I need the content for this year to shoot. Originally, I was going to just say it, but I wanted to show parts of it too. Examples, real examples, not just give this list in front of a camera, right? Even if it got me 1,000 views or whatever, right? I want to show it. Or seeing is believing. Yeah, the sis, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you would have got me in your mind, right, Billy? Right? I'm talking in your head right now. I can't get CR out of my cranium. Right? I could put the CR in cranium for you. See? I told you there's a lot of CR words out there, and I just used another one. There's only 15,000 words that have CR in it. So that's another word, that's a CR word that I can randomly add in every so often. Let's see, where am I at? Yeah, less than a minute. So, anyways, it is time to wrap things up here once again. Mostly if I do this for a third day, I don't know. I have to, I don't know what to say. I just wanted to do this for another day at least. And besides, reconnect with some of you out there, share a few things, right? Have some people drop by. Some of my other subscribers, right? And give a few of them the crescent wrench of things. I see our word, right? So that they can have the tools to help me out here on the channel, on the live stream. And hopefully you guys all found some of the information useful, right? Some of the tricks, tips, or whatever, right? To deal with heat. Do what you have to do, right? You're gonna, it won't judge if you're gonna do, pre-filtered water or pull it out of the stream, use rainwater or whatever, right? I get it, right? So, like always, everyone, things are changing out there. Not just the temperature, not just the weather too, right? Other things are changing out there. Be aware of things, right? And try to adapt to them too, right? Prepare in advance, right? Mitigate them, all that stuff, but ultimately, in time, we're not that adapt, right? To something else, or bringing something from old school method or whatever and stuff like that. And remember that kind of stuff too, right? Have your commercial personal water filter or whatever, desk countertop filter, right? But remember, people actually made charcoal sand rock filters in the past, right? Even if it's just to use it as a pre-filter or your main filter, like I said earlier. Yes, Billy, I learned that you're an awesome guy. So, yes, go practice those things whenever possible, the skills to know, right? Gain the more knowledge as much as possible. Try things out, right? And do these kind of things kind of now while it's still easy. While you can still potentially afford to make the mistake, right? Still be able to get medical treatment if absolutely necessary or whatever, right? Not give medical advice or anything like that, right? Still be able to call for help, use a cell phone or whatever, right? Versus later on where you don't want to make the mistake because you're on your own or there's no help coming, right? And when possible, go try to help someone out. Hey, speak for yourself, Billy. Speak for yourself, dude. Alright, everyone. I'll catch you next time. And apparently, okay. You know what? Screw it. On my way out. Providing. Why can't I click on it? Click. Why isn't it clicking? Why isn't it clicking? Why can't I click on that? I can't highlight that. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I thought I made you a moderator already. I was just like, you know what? Just like, remove this moderator. No. I want to add. I'm like, no, I've already added you. So, anyways, everyone, I will catch you all on the next live stream for me. Maybe it's in the heat. Maybe it's in the cold. I don't know. There'll be a video out tomorrow, which is Friday. That I would hope you would all enjoy. Take care, everyone. Take care.